Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiars, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 43. Needless to say, if Sumo was going to war, then so was I. When do we leave? I asked. 2 weeks from now, she said somberly. So soon, I said amazed. Well, I've been waiting for several months longer than I've known you. In reality, I'm surprised it took this long, she said. I guess, so what do we need to do? Before we go, I mean, I wondered. Well, all battlefield healers are required to appear before the Council of Experts to prove that they are actually healers. But other than that, the only preparations we have to do are the ones that we want to do, she told me. Why do you need to prove that you are a healer? I questioned. Because healers are less likely to be sent to dangerous areas, and there have been instances of Niema who tried to pretend to be healers in order to avoid combat, she explained. Oh yeah, that makes sense, I said. I started making a list of things I wanted to have before we shipped out. I wanted to get the rest of my armor from the blacksmith. I had already collected the chestplate and arm guards, so now all that was left was the helmet and the legs. I had also already had Aegis and Destiny repaired as well, so I didn't need to worry about that. Jake, Suma said, interrupting my train of thought, have you already had your weapons infused with runes like you wanted yet? Not yet. I guess I need to do that too, I realized. The reason I ask is because I think I know someone who may be able to help. Really? Who? I asked, interested and surprised. It's a woman who was there at the Citadel the same day I was there. We were both officially registering our names that day, she explained. Do you remember who she was? I asked. No, but I do know where we can find out. Records of every named Niema are stored in the city's library. I could go and try and find it there, she suggested. Don't worry about it. I can go myself, I said, not wanting to make her go out of her way. I'm sorry, Jake, but I don't think that'll be possible. It's just that familiars are prohibited entirely from that building by royal decree. They won't let you in, she explained, and I sighed in disappointment. I felt a bit bad about making Suma do an errand for me, but there was nothing to be done about it. Suma and I talked a little while longer about what we would expect to do during our tour of duty, and what kind of treatment I would most likely receive. Apparently, all familiars are required to be under the right of dominance, so we would need to keep up an act while we were there. Also, we came up with a plan to increase Suma's effectiveness in healing by buying several dull jars and having me place them under a summon spell. The reason for this was that if Suma needed extra mana, she could get it from a dull jar, which nullifies all alignments and affinities as soon as it enters it. This would enable her to draw on my mana as a backup without killing anyone. We tested this by borrowing a dull jar from the Niema who I was renting the room from, and then cutting my hand. I couldn't tell the difference, but according to Suma, it felt like her magic was turbocharged. After we finished talking, Suma flew to the library and searched for the information while I went to the blacksmith and checked for the rest of my order. Hello, I called out upon entering the storefront. Sir Jake, is that you? His voice echoed from the back. Yes, sir. Come to the back room. I have something I think you'll want to see, he shouted. I walked through the doorway and saw on a nearby table the finished helmet and leg armor. But on the other side of the forge was an elderly Niema blacksmith standing beside a glowing red-hot weapon fresh from the forge. I recognized what it was immediately by the shape. So what do you think? I'm making it special for you, no charge, he said as he carefully laid the burning hot weapon down. I realized the weight wasn't as much of an issue for you since you're so large yourself, so I thought maybe you should have a weapon that reflected that. I designed this to maximize your size to your advantage. It has two ends, he said as he flattened up the side of the weapon and gestured to the parts he was talking about. This end is blunt and good for brute force. The other end is added a cone of sorts, like I did with your spear. But I reinforced it and made it a good deal thicker so it would stand heavier blows. After he finished saying all of this, he activated one of the runes on the side of the table, and the weapon cooled off enough to pick up. So, what do you think? I picked up the warhammer and marveled at it. It's incredible. End of chapter. Chapter 44. So what do you think? The elderly blacksmith nymph said. I picked up the warhammer and marveled at it. It's incredible. It was well designed and exceptionally sturdy, as if I could tell, based on the weight anyway. It has a feather-like pattern running down the sides, and the puncturing cone almost made it look like a bird's head if you looked at it from the side. Suma told me to make something special for you, and she'd paid for it already too, so no one needs to worry about that, the blacksmith said, pulling me away from the hammer and back to reality. Suma commissioned this? I asked, stunned. Sure she did, and she told me why too. I hope you stay safe out there, son. Even healers can have a chance of getting hurt, and their familiars as well, he said softly, a voice full of concern. Thank you, I'll do my best, I said to him. I looked back to the hammer and had an idea. Hey, do you want to help me try this out? His head cocked back for a moment, then his feathers raised ever so slightly with excitement. What did you have in mind? Within 20 minutes, we had gone outside to the back area where he kept extra supplies and set down some coverings. Then the blacksmith flew out of the room for a moment before returning with a few small seeds in his mouth. He dropped them in the middle of the covering and infused them all with mana. Several large roots grew up in seconds, and everything was ready. We spent half an hour smashing fruits with a hammer and cone, then another half an hour cleaning up the splatter that wasn't caught by the coverings we set down. That was good fun, the blacksmith said as he floated the last of the destroyed fruit into a barrel that we decided to use as a trash can. It works amazing too, well balanced and not too unwieldy, I confirmed as I picked up bits of fruit off the hammer's flat. I'm glad to hear that, he responded. You seem to know your way around it fairly well, after having just gotten your hands on it too. Oh, well, my people actually used to have weapons similar to this one. I've never used one before, but I've seen them used, so I was able to kind of figure it out, I explained. Oh, I see. That's a shame. I was hoping to have been the first person to have created a weapon like this. Oh well, he sighed, a bit disappointed. Well, if it makes you feel better, you're the first person to make this weapon on your world, I pointed out, trying to make him feel better. It worked because he stood a bit taller and realized that I was right. I thanked the blacksmith again, collected my things. However, I didn't want to leave him without giving him a gift. You want to give me a name? He exclaimed in shock. If you'd like one, yes. You've helped me out a lot, taught me about metalwork so that I could make my own repairs, showed me different uses of magic, and all around been a good friend, so yes, I'd like to give you a name, I told him. He was almost jumping up and down for joy. Yes, I mean, if you don't mind, the elder nymph said excitedly. I thought for a while, mulled over several names, all the while the blacksmith waited with bated breath. I wanted to pick something that fit him and his personality. He was calm but passionate. He could get excitable like a kid whenever something fun happened. Eventually, I decided on a name. How about Seal? Seal! He repeated in awe. He started thanking me and singing from joy. It was that song Suma had sung when I named her. Suma da Jondas Ah. After that, he thanked me. I collected my things, including the rest of my armor, and we said our goodbyes. I went home and put everything away until Suma and I could perform a bonding on them so that I could summon them whenever I needed. Jake, Suma said in my mind just as I finished putting the rest of my weapons and armor away. Yeah, I asked. I found that Niema, the one who makes runes, her name is Silla Ka. She works as a magical scholar, Suma said. End of chapter. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Eric Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. I just want to thank the T5 patrons and channel members. Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Estrella the Dreamer, Tryagain95, Fudigiol, Meridian117, Elysia, Jordan Bucksbaum, Angry Marine, Albarden Gusta, and Barkey. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.